People tend to number things they deem important: age, zip code, bank balance. In the case of the United States Air Force, great importance is attached to unit designations. These carry with them proud histories of service, dedication, and sacrifice. And so it is with the 37th Training Wing, which celebrates its 50th anniversary this year. For the last half-century, this wing has carried on a proud tradition in defense of the greatest nation on Earth. True peace did not follow the Allied victory in World War II. The Korean War erupted and pitted communist ideology against democratic principles. As this war entered stalemate, the 37th Fighter Bomber Wing was established March 3, 1953, as one more step to encourage North Korea to enter serious truce negotiations. When armed conflict abates, many military units are often dismantled and relegated to obscurity. And so it was with the 37th until conflict erupted again, this time in Vietnam. In October 1966, the 37th Tactical Fighter Wing was activated and sent to Phu Cat, South Vietnam. They took with them the F-100 Super Sabre. Their mission included finding and killing the enemy. In April of 1969, the 37th's 480th Tactical Fighter Squadron switched to the F-4 Phantom with its much improved combat capability. As American involvement in Southeast Asia drew to a close, so did that chapter written by the 37th Tactical Fighter Wing. Its remaining two squadrons were inactivated in March 1970. In March 1981, the 37th Tactical Fighter Wing was resurrected at George Air Force Base, California. The F-4 was again employed, but in a far more dangerous role, that of Wild Weasel. In their F-4G, the pilot and weapon systems officer would seek out enemy surface-to-air missile batteries. Once the enemy turned on their radar, the gunfight began. The Wild Weasel locked on to enemy radar and fired a missile that rode the beam to the target. However, a deadly SAM was often on its way, and Wild Weasel missions became a deadly game of dodgeball. In October 1989, under a dark cloak of secrecy, members of the 37th Tactical Fighter Wing packed their bags and moved to the Nevada desert. They became part of one of the more secretive programs in Air Force history. The F-117 stealth fighter had taken wing. It was up to the 37th to bring it to operational status. The F-117 cloak of secrecy was removed in grand fashion on December 20th, 1989. The U.S. had tired of Panama President Manuel Noriega's drug dealing and saber rattling. The first Noriega knew of the U.S. military presence in his neighborhood was when the Panamanian Defense Force barracks in nearby Rio Hato shook from the bombs of the 37th Tactical Fighter Wing stealth fighters. Just 2 years later, the 37th Fighter Wing and its F-117s paid a visit to Baghdad. At 3 a.m. in the morning of January 17, 1991, 10 F-117s accurately placed their high-explosive loads on Iraqi command, control, and communications facilities. Desert Storm had begun. Just 43 days later, Iraqi forces had been forced out of Kuwait, and President George Bush called a halt to the slaughter. Most of the F-117s returned to Tonopah Test Range in Nevada, but not for long. In July 1991, the stealth fighters moved to Holloman Air Force Base, New Mexico. Again, the 37th furled its flag during inactivation ceremonies, only to unfurl it again in June 1993, this time at Lackland Air Force Base. The 37th Fighter Wing, now redesignated the 37th Training Wing, replaced the Lackland Training Center. Air Education and Training Command had inherited a wing with one of the more renowned combat records in Air Force history. The wing's mission underwent a drastic change from flying warbirds to training of warriors. The courses of training are as varied as those who undergo them. These include basic military training, technical training, and international training. The Military Working Dog Program trains canines and their handlers in everything from drug and explosive detection to criminal suspect apprehension. Every uniform in the U.S. military is seen on Lackland. Air Force, Army, Navy, Marine Corps, and Coast Guard. Even the uniforms of foreign nations are prominent on the international training campuses operated by the 37th Training Wing. Allied nations send their officers and enlisted personnel to Lackland. Here they learn the art of aircraft repair and the English language, so necessary to operate materiel supplied by the United States. The 37th Training Wing has always strived to be a gracious host. Its partnership with the 59th Medical Wing has helped make Wilford Hall Medical Center one of the premier hospitals in the nation. It is one of only 3 Level 1 trauma centers that serve South Central Texas. Host responsibilities increased dramatically in April 2001 when adjoining Kelly Air Force Base closed, ending 85 years in support of military aviation. Units once supported by Kelly agencies were welcomed as members of Team Lackland. They include Air Combat Command's Air Intelligence Agency, 433rd Airlift Wing, Air Force Reserve Command, and the Texas Air National Guard's 149th Fighter Wing. And although aircraft have played an important role in the history of the 37th Training Wing and its predecessors, Lackland had no runway. That is, until the closure of Kelly, when Lackland took over responsibility for the oldest active airfield in the Air Force. Lackland has continued to grow into the most populated Air Force installation in the nation. More than 39,000 people work and train here daily. And the 37th Training Wing continues its proud legacy into the 21st century.